Hey friends, welcome to another video. Today we're doing my single blushes and blush palettes. This is all blush. There is no contour. There's some highlight mixed in, but it's mostly just powder blush. So some of these I know I'm getting rid of. Others are newer to my collection and are gonna stick around. But let's get our fingers in and swatch and let's get dirty. Let's do it. As far as blush palettes go, this is what I have. I have two Hourglass palettes. One of these is specifically a blush and highlight palette. The other is one of their ambient lighting palette that has bronzers and other powders, but I'm putting it in with my blush palettes, face palettes. This is a Pat McGrath palette from a couple Christmases ago. I like this palette. I know a lot of people didn't, but I do. And then I also have this palette of singles. So let's start with these and then we'll get into the rest of it. Honestly, I don't remember where most of these came from. I know that I have some NARS blushes in here. I have a Lorac blush. Like, when was the last time someone on YouTube mentioned Lorac? This is Rendezvous, but I don't have a brand on it. And I believe this is a bronzer, but I use it as a blush. So let's go through them. These two are from a NARS palette that I depotted in my massive 2021 depotting spree. So the pink is a little thin when it's swatched, but it does apply really beautifully. I'm not sure about the peach though. I'm really not. I'm not loving the way it's sitting. Yeah, I'm not sure about this one. This is one that I'm going to have to think over. I'm going to have to use it, look at how it performs on the skin, and then make a decision. This one's from Lorac. This just says the balm on the bottom. So the Lorac, gorgeous. Kind of, I would say it's a little similar to Pat McGrath Flirtatious. And then this is the one from the balm. I don't remember what it is, but it's really pretty. This, I believe, is also from the balm. It might be technically a bronzer, but it's really rosy, and I use it as a blush. This is a highlighter from NARS. I don't think they make it anymore, but I love it. It's hot sand. It's a little champagne, but it does not read gold on me. Yeah, so that's the only highlighter in this palette. This, oh, what does it say on the bottom? It says Model Co. I have not experienced anything from that brand. I think, again, I got this in a subscription box and it's lovely. It's lovely. It's pink. I would almost deign to compare this to NARS Orgasm, which at this point really isn't that spectacular a shade. Right? And then this is Rendezvous. It doesn't say the brand on the bottom, but it's pretty and I like it. And I don't think any of these have quite gone off. And they're gonna stay. I'm gonna give this palette some more love and I'll reassess in 6 months. Let's talk about Hourglass. Um, I have seen year after year Hourglass's ambient lighting palettes come out, and I've never bought one because I never saw one that struck me. This is the jellyfish packaging. So it's the packaging for the lightest palette with the second lightest color story. This highlighter, it looks gold, but it just is so pretty on me. It's one of my favorite inner corner highlights. Let's swatch the entire palette because why not? So there are some pre-swatch fingers. Like you can't even really see the powder. All you see is the skin change. Wow, that is a gold highlight. I don't know why it works on me. That is Mood Exposure. That is one of my favorite blushes. It's also in this palette. And I didn't care that I was having two of them. I don't know what the two on these three are called. We'll read them off the back once I get them swatched. But they're similar, but they're different. And you can mix and match and layer. Oh, I love this. I love this palette so much. So the bottom three are Iridescent Rose, Ethereal Flush, and Lustrous Bronze Light. The top row is Finishing Powder and Dim Light, Metallic Strobe Powder, Celestial Strobe Light, and Mood Exposure Blush. So that is this palette. If you see this palette on other people's channels, I'm not going to have the same thing that's inside because I had mine custom made on Hourglass's website. This is most definitely not available anymore, but I don't care because I spent my money on it and I use it and I love it. This palette has a blush in Surreal Effect. So that would be this. A strobe blush in Brilliant Nude. So it's basically a highlighty blush. Strobe blush in Lucid Glow, which is another highlighty blush, but it's a little more peachy coral, where this is more nudie beige. And then, oh, that's Infinite Flush. That's not Mood Exposure. Down here. And honestly, if I was going to buy one Hourglass blush, it would be Infinite Flush. It's all right, let's swatch it. Let's swatch it. So it is currently holiday 2023 out there. I bought this palette in 2019. This was the year of the ghost packaging, this clear plastic acrylic crap. I'm glad they moved on from that. That is so pretty. That is why I'm getting rid of Beam. I don't need it. I don't need it when I have something like this that's not nearly as hard to work with. An Infinite Flush. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Everybody can stay. Honestly, I am not decluttering any of my blush palettes today. I only have 4, but this is also an inventory. So we're going to swatch every piece of makeup. What is this thing called? So this is from Mama Pat. This is her Divine Blush and Glow Cheek Celestial Cheek Palette in Nude Venus. I originally had this on my Sephora wish list because these two blushes individually were on my radar. So when I saw that this was palette was coming out and had 2 of those blushes, it went into my like high priority shopping wish list. And along with another palette. I got this for my birthday. And so every time I use this, I think of Carrie. So Carrie, if you're watching, thank you, love. I love that first shade. I don't know. I don't think it's too orange on me. And the rest of these, most of them are very pink, but that's kind of Pat McGrath's MO. We know that she loves pink, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it feels like the stuff she's coming up with currently is kind of redundant. It's been done, and it's not just redundant, but it's shit, what's the word? She's copying herself. All right, there are the 4 blushes. So we have Desert Orchid, Nude Venus, Divine Rose 3, Paradise Venus, and Sunset Nectar. So that's the highlight. I don't really use this highlight very much. It's a little too glittery for me, but I do use all the blushes. Okay, moving right along. Let's swatch some blushes. Anything that I have multiples of, I'm trying to keep together. So these are the Bare Minerals. I think I'm also going, nope, that's a highlighter. That goes with the next round. All right, we are tackling single blushes. Yes, Charlotte, we know. Let me move these out of the way and we'll get started. All right. Here we have 7 single blushes. These are the ones that don't have, I just have one of each of these in the brand. Let's get fingers in them. So this is the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk Multi Glow. Technically, this is a highlighter. I don't use it as that. I use it as a blush. I've also had to repress this thing twice. I don't use this as a highlighter. I would think you'd have to be pretty medium to deep skin to use this as a highlighter. I love it as a blush though. I really do. It's look, when Charlotte Tilbury hits one, she hits it. But her failures are just as spectacular. I think this one is gonna go. This is from House Labs. This is their Color Fuse Blush in Hibiscus Haze. And honestly, I fell victim to the hype. People were talking about how gorgeous these were. And I so wanted to like it, but it does that thing where it's got too much blue in it. I don't like it against my skin. It doesn't turn raisin like I had hoped it would. It turns pink with a blue magenta undertone, and I do not like it. So this is gonna go. Next, we're looking at this one from Melt. This is just one of the Melt powder blushes. It's not a blush light. It's in the shade Honey Thief. It's gorgeous. It is that peachy coral beiginess, but I don't remember that I own this. I forget it's there. I forget it's in my storage and it doesn't get used. I've also had this since 2020. So it's very likely that the formula is going to start going off soon. Somebody else can enjoy the rest of this product's life because it's not getting loved in mine. Cover FX. I love this blush. This is one of their blush duos. This is the monochromatic blush duo in the shade Warm Honey. Do you remember when everyone on YouTube was talking about these? And I know that some people thought they were too pigmented and they were hard to work with. I didn't find that the case. I loved this formula. The matte just as much as the shimmery side. I used this as a base for eye looks. I just love the whole thing. But I have a new blush from RMS, and we'll talk about that next. But this is an upgrade. Excuse you. This blush has been upgraded. And so this one's gonna go. I loved it. It brought a lot of joy to my life. But it's going in the declutter box. Hot Mama from the Balm. Look, I like the Balm. I think their stuff is cute. I like the retro packaging. It's fun. However, I think this blush has lived its life. It's really pretty. It is. It's very pretty. The packaging is so nice and slim. But it's it looks really pretty there though. No, it's gonna go. It's gotta go. It's not getting used. It's not getting thought of. It's gonna go. These two I know are staying. This is one of the Nabla skin glazing blushes in the shade Independence. This is one of my most used blushes over the last 3 years. And it's got that formula that you can almost, like you can press the edges down. I think it's advertised as a cream to powder formula. And now that I've got all of that on my finger. It's gorgeous. It's ruddy. It's got a lot of the Charlotte Tilbury in it, but the Charlotte Tilbury has more bronze and is not this texture. Like the texture of the powder is what really drives it home. It's got just a lovely glow to it. I also have a highlighter and a bronzer in this formula that we will talk about in the next video. Finally, Mama Pat. So this is the Pat McGrath Labs. What is this called? Blush Without Caution, Fabulous Flirtations, and Sexquisite Seduction may result with prolonged use. Cute. This is the Skin Fetish Divine Blush in the shade Flirtatious. This absolutely took off this summer, and for good reason. It is lovely. I gotta stop shaking the table. For me, this is I over blushed and now I look like a clown. I go in with a little bit of my face powder and a little bit of this, and it takes care of it, and it smooths and evens everything out. It is not for people, I would say, darker than me. I don't know how how this pigment, I don't know how this pigment is going to sit on dark skin. I don't know if it has any white in it and if it's going to make them look ashy. I would be interested to hear about this from a darker skin perspective. But for my skin tone, it's beautiful. two more. So RMS. These are the RMS Redimension Hydra Powder Blush. So they're a little bit like Nabla, but they're a lot more malleable. Here we have Hanky Panky. She's special. And Maiden's Blush, which honestly has been my almost everyday blush since I got it. I cannot stop wearing it, especially with khakis, brown, and beige blushes. They layer really beautifully. And that is a nice, thick, juicy swatch. And you can see it has a lot of the same tones and color as the Cover FX, but it's an upgrade. I like the formula more. It's a smaller package to carry, and the color is more consistent. I felt like the Cover FX blush could be hard to build up, and this obviously is not. Then we get to this lovely gal. This is Hanky Panky. She is not like the other Goyles. She is blushy, but she is raisin. She is raisin with a blue reflect. If I can get the light to hit just right, you can see how it will reflect. When you really build it up, you can see it. But again, like the Cover FX blush, this one doesn't build up to full opacity. You're never going to get this depth on the skin. But the color that it is on the skin is so special. And I've actually been layering these two. Ooh, mama, it's pretty. It's pretty. So yeah, both of the RMS blushes are staying. Next two, I just got these. These were in my last video, or in my first video that I posted about my 2023 fall haul. These are two of the Givenchy Luminous Silk blushes in shade 11 and shade 50. These are really pretty. So again, desaturated. This is a beautiful blush. Again, I don't know how sheer the pigment is and how this would work on someone with deep skin. The shade range is not great, but like that color is just undeniably gorgeous. She pretty. And then shade 50, I was watching one of Teresa is Dead's wonderful declutters, and she got rid of this. And she said that this was worse than NARS Orgasm. And I have the opposite opinion. I feel like it's better than NARS Orgasm. I feel like it's better than NARS Orgasm. I will say, be careful putting this over texture. If you have texture on your face, maybe use a silicone primer first, because she does sit into fine lines and texture, but gorgeous glow. Gorgeous glowy goyle. Next, I have three of the Bare Minerals bronzers. These are the texture. All of these blushes that I'm swatching, with exception of maybe the Givenchy, because those are a pretty basic powder formula, as are the Make Beauty, which we'll get to. But a lot of the formulas that I'm loving have this satin texture to them. So this is the Bare Minerals bronzer in Kiss of Pink. And if I just want a subtle blush that's not going to do too much contouring, this is what I go for. I also use this in the same way I use Flirtatious, depending on the final texture that I want. This is one of the newer ones. This is Kiss of Mauve. I knew when this came out that I had to have it. It really is similar to Hanky Panky in a lot of ways, but it's more brown. Hanky Panky definitely has more of a purple to pink base, where this has some more red and some more brown in it. And then we have Kiss of Rose. I will say the idea of a bronzer is redundant, because I don't know anybody who would use those 3 shades as bronzers, but I do really enjoy this formula. That's why I own 3 of them. Last but certainly not least are these 4 wonderful blushes from Make Beauty. You can really see the differences when you hold them next to each other. You can see the Cosmic, which is this pink one, is just so much brighter, but it also has a lot of white to it, whereas Celestial Rose definitely has a lot more coolness. That is almost a bronzer. I'm sure there are people out there who would use this as a bronzer. Let's swatch them. Here we have Cosmic. This is my version of that Dior Rosy Glow, because I had one like the Dior. I had the one from Kaleidos, and it was so pink. It took over my entire face. This is the first Make Beauty blush I ever bought, and it's still like very highly regarded in my esteem. It's so pretty. This is New Moon. Mystic Mauve. This is a little bit too cool toned. Just a smidge. It doesn't quite make me look bruised, but I don't know. It's just, there's something. Maybe I need to use it on its own and give it its best shot, but it's not going anywhere. It's going to stay with the rest of them. Celestial Rose, which is one of my favorite raisiny but lighter colored blushes. Those are all of my powder blushes. Overall, I'm happy with how this went. I will be keeping track of numbers as I go. So in the final video, I will do a deep dive into the numbers of what I had versus what I got rid of. So that being said, I hope you are taking care of yourself so you can take care of each other. And I will talk to you in my next video. Bye, friends.